Hey guys, Bart from TST Industries here. Welcome to TST Garage. Today in the studio I have a Suzuki DRZ400 and I will be performing the installation of our new Fender Eliminator and integrated taillight system for this bike. All right, so our system integrates the signals into the taillight capsule. It's also all plug and play via the use of our sub harness. And the taillight itself is available in a clear or smoked lens. The system does away with your whole fender here, along with all the lighting and also the license plate light. So we suggest that you guys take a look at our stealth license plate light and add that to your package. All right, so let's talk quickly about this package here. We have our license bracket. It looks like this. It mounts onto our system to frame bracket, and the tail light attaches to this whole assembly right behind, and that goes on the bike with just 2 screws. All the hardware is provided. It is all corrosion resistant hardware, very simple to install. We even provide some wire ties so that you get your cable routing just right. All right, let's talk quickly about the hyperflash situation that is caused by removing your OEM signals and replacing the signaling equipment with LED type lights. Typically that drops the current draw from your signaling system and it causes the system to flash very fast. The taillight itself comes by default with a set of resistors. These are load balancing resistors. They up the current draw on the system and fool it into thinking that you have an incandescent light there and you don't have the hyperflash. If you don't want to wire these in, I personally never do. We have a separate component, our LED flasher relay, specifically made for Suzuki models. There's a plug and play unit. We have a separate video on the installation of this part, so check that out on our website or our YouTube channel. All right, so one more thing I want to say is that we have had a similar package on the market for the last 2 years, and it was fairly successful, but the means for machining components for that system were pretty expensive. So we've redesigned this particular system to fit a better, smaller budget for those of you guys that want to do away with all this junk but don't want to bust your wallet. So I think you guys will be very pleased with this. It is actually simpler to install and a more robust design. I'm very proud of it. Hope you guys will check it out. So at this point, let's go into the installation. Before we jump onto the bike and rip it apart and replace the parts we don't want with our new fancy Fender Eliminator system, I would like to pre-configure all the components on the table and then be ready to jump to the bike and perform the installation. So let's grab taillight and the mounting bracket. And if you notice here, you have a slit going into an oval shaped cutout, and that will go onto the wires and onto the rubber grommet behind the taillight. And that assembles here like this. Now we will take our license plate bracket, and it also has a similar cutout here, and just goes over this setup and right over that grommet. I'm going to hold this in place, and using 3 self-threading screws we have here, I will fasten this all together. Now I do have to mention here, we are clamping all these components with self-threading screws that are screwing into ABS plastic. The screws will not vibrate out because they are what's called Plastite specific thread making screws made for plastics. So they bite in, form the thread, and they will not vibrate out. So we do not need to over tighten them. Over tightening these will break the threads internally and then will likely cause your light to come off. So what you want to do is, once they are almost bottomed out, get the light in the position you want it to be in, and I typically like it to sit as low as possible from this configuration. So I will push this bracket up and hold it in place, and then go to full bottom on all the screws And once at full bottom, we'll give them just a final nudge. It's about 10 degrees of rotation. And now this is ready to go on the bike. Before I do that, I will plug the sub harness in. And this terminates in our Suzuki type plugs that will plug right into your harness. One last thing here, we do supply a foam block that is adhered to the top here, back of this line, actually butt it up against it right in the center. Just peel off on the adhesive masking, center it, butt it up to that line feature, press down, and this is ready to go. All these fastening components you see here and the wire ties will be needed once we get on the bike. So let's get this table out of the way and rip apart the bike. First step in the disassembly will be the removal of the two 8mm screws on either side of the seat. Then I'm going to switch over to a 10mm socket. Remove this screw here. And now this panel will need to come out, so the first step in that will be to lift up on the seat until this tab clears your plastic, and that just pops out. And now this panel gets drawn towards the rear, to the front rather. Has a grommet here that engages onto this peg, so off, forward, on, backwards. And now there's another 10mm bolt here. Remove that. Make sure you take the shoulder washer with it. Need that for reassembly. Now the strap comes off. Seat pops off. We can put that to the side. Now we have access to all the wiring. So your main plug looks like this. It's the Sumitomo 3-position plug. Press on the tab in the center. That unlocks it, withdraw it, and now this is free to come out. Signal wires are these Hitachi type plugs. They have a tab here. You lift up on that tab, and then the male portion of the plug will come out. Now the whole wire loom going towards the rear fender is off and free. I'll just push all the components through the rear fender so that they end up on the inside here. This will make our disassembly further down the line a lot easier. Now, I also like to feed the wires out through here. And now there is a clip here. It's a wire tie that is reusable. If you pry up on the tab, you could disengage it. We'll save that. We'll reuse it in the reassembly. Now, wires are completely free from the frame, but I do like to pull them over that subframe rail here and get them down in the middle, right under the fender. This way they won't snag on the way out. I'll have a clear shot. All right, so now we are ready to disengage these screws. There are 6 of them here. 2 are 10mm heads. We'll start with these here, one here and one here. They're downward facing, so they're easy to take out with one of these guns. And so these were 10mm heads. I'm going to now move to my 8mm ratchet here. It was actually kind of inconvenient with a short one. I'm going to change to a longer one. These do have shoulder washers, so I'll take those out as well. There's one of these screws on either side. Now I'm going to switch over to my 10mm again. Now once I get down to these last two screws, specifically after next to last one comes out, I'm going to support the fender with my hand so it doesn't just drop. Once I loosen the last screw, get it out by hand. Once this last screw comes out, this whole assembly comes out freely. The wires do come over the top of the frame, and now it's out. Put it to the side, and we still have these clip fasteners on these two tabs. Normally I like to take them off because otherwise they will vibrate off and possibly hit somebody behind you while you're riding. All right, so now we are ready to proceed to the reassembly of all our new components onto the bike, so stay tuned. So now we will take our pre-configured setup and align it in the following fashion. This hole in the bracket will align with this mount, and this hole will align with this mount. Now we can take a washer and a screw from our hardware kit and start threading that together. This screw will require a 4mm Allen, and we'll get it close to bottom mount, but still leave some adjustability. We'll grab the other screw and washer and follow suit on the other side. Now what I like to do at this point is push on this system forward so that we have a nice edge-to-edge mating contact. And now I'm going to lock them down. Now these bikes actually experience a lot of road vibration, and the motor also vibrates the entire frame. So you guys can use thread lock or some sort of thread locking compound on these screws, or you could also choose to use these locking nuts that we provided that will go on top of these screws and lock this down and prevent it from vibrating out. Either way is fine. I just don't like messing with Loctite or other thread lockers around ABS plastic parts. Thread locking compounds typically degrade plastic, and if you get it anywhere near this component, it will likely damage it irreversibly. So we supplied some nice locking nuts. I suggest you guys use them. Once that nut is bottomed out, you hold the screw from the bottom with your Allen key, give it a nudge, and now it's locked in place. We'll perform the same step on the other side. And now the physical installation of this system is complete. All we have to do is wire this into the forward compartment, plug it in, and we can test it out. Now I will pass the plugs that this harness terminates in through the slot to the forward compartment. And our main plug here will live in this location. And the wire will just tuck away nicely up above the frame. I'm going to use the OEM usable tie somewhere around here. I'm not going to tighten it fully yet. I'm going to grab one of the ones from the kit and go around the frame here. I'm not going to fully tighten that one yet either. And now I would like to lock this whole plug area down to the frame. So this wire tie will go here. Actually, let's do it this way. All right, I'm going to engage the wire tie, but not tighten it fully. And now you have some wiggle room to really adjust this to where you want it to sit. You want to definitely have some slack by the tail light, but not too much. Let's start tightening down on this. So for the regular installation of just these components, we would typically proceed to just lock these down, cut them off, and replace all the other components. If you've decided to go with our stealth license plate light that mounts like this to your license plate, you'll need to route that now. This is a separate component that is an add-on. So if you've chosen to purchase that, we will show you how to route it and wire it in now. Unravel the wire, get it through the center triangle of the bracket, milk it up to the top, and then basically just go through your wire ties from back to front. I already locked this one down a little bit too much, so I'm going to back up on it. Once you have this routed, it goes in the same place, up to the top through the same slot. And now you're pretty much ready to mount your license plate. Those of you guys that want extra security, we provided a rectangle of high bond double side tape that will adhere to the back of your license plate and then get clamped in this whole system. I typically don't use this because I like to be able to take the license plate off and put it back on. But if you feel like you need the extra security, go ahead and peel off this masking at this point and apply it to the back of your license plate. I'm just going to use the hardware that came off the bike originally for the license plate mounting. Get it all in place, center it, lock it down, and then we can move forward with buttoning up all the wiring down here, jump up to the top, and reconnect everything. So now I'm just tightening up this wire, leaving enough slack back here, and I'm going to conceal it up above the frame and lock it down. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we can chop off the excess from these wire ties and hop up to the top, connect everything, then we'll be good to go. Now up top, our job is really simple. Just going to connect the 3-wire plug into its receiving harness plug, and then turn the bike on, check the functions. We got brake and running light. Now we're going to take these signal plugs. What I like to do is engage, say, the right signal and test which wire will go into which plug. Okay, so it seems as though I have them reversed. So I'm going to unplug them and reverse them. And now my right signal is actually showing up on the right of the light and left on the left. So that's all good to go. Power down the bike and then tuck away these wires under the frame here. If you did in fact go with the license plate light, I'll show you how to get that plugged in. Obviously this is a universal unit, so it doesn't have a specific plug, it just has 2 wires. It does come with these nifty posi-tap connectors that make it very easy to connect, and you can always disconnect and reconnect at will without any fuss. You just unscrew the top portion from the bottom portion that has a channel in it. Identify the wire that you need to plug into. So downstream on our taillight, the black is the ground. Upstream from that is black with a white stripe. You put that little plug around the wire and take the other portion that you took off, thread it on until the little piercing component inside this portion pierces through the wire and bottoms out. I'll take the other one that comes with the kit, do the same thing. On our tail light, the blue wire positioned in the middle of the plug is our positive running light wire. Upstream, the brown wire is the same, so we will go up here. Now you could either go in front or in back of this plug. I choose to go upstream because I want to be able to take these components off separately at will. If I need to unplug the tail light and remove it, I can do that without removing the license plate light. So it just makes a little bit more sense to me. You guys can do either or. All right, so now these two are connected. We can unscrew the little caps off the top portion. Now be careful not to drop it. Pain in the butt to find this little component in the inner makings of your bike. And now I will grab the black wire here, put it through so that we have a little bit of the conductor showing, and that will go in the ground wire here, and it just threads in. Just make sure that you push on the wire so it stays in as you thread it in. It just jumped out. It just goes to show you that it's pretty easy for it to jump out if you're not paying attention. Once you lock it down, test it. If it doesn't come out, you're good to go. I'm going to perform the same steps on the red wire. Red wire will plug into that center positive wire here. Push it in, lock it down, give it a tension test, and now this is good to go. Now we can once again tuck these away and wrap up this wire behind this frame tab and get it all concealed in there. And now I like to test it one more time, make sure we have license plate light function, and we do. So at this point we could go in the reverse order of disassembly, get our seat back on, get the strap over, and start putting in all the screws. So we'll pick up the screw that we took out of this location with the shoulder washer, get it located in the strap, and engage it with this boss. It's a 10mm head. You can notice I used a mechanized tool on the way out, but I'm using hand tools on the way back in. This prevents cross-threading and over-tightening. Now this panel can go back on. Remember to engage this grommet onto this stud. And there's a tab here that needs to go in a little window in the fender. And we lift up on the seat until the tab clears. And then the boss engages with the side shroud here. Pop it back on. And we can replace this 8mm screw that came out of this location. Same screw on the other side. And we have one more screw on this side in this location. It actually has a washer here. My washer is stuck to the shroud. Typically it comes off with the screw. Make sure you have a washer in there. This one's a 10mm. Tighten this guy down, and now we're done. So let's perform one last test. Power up the bike, running lights on, license plate light is on. We have brake function, left signal, right signal. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this setup will flash fast because the signals are LED lamps. To combat that, you will have to either wire in the resistors provided with the light according to the provided instructions, or get yourself one of these LED flasher relays that we have. Check out that video, simple installation. Hope you guys will consider it. As you can see, it took about 15 to 20 minutes to get this thing on. No fuss, plug and play, all hardware provided, and it produces really nice effects. If you guys have friends that ride CRF 250Ls or Yamaha WR250s, tell them to check us out too. We have similar setups for those bikes. The CRF 250L has been launched. The WR model will soon follow. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, and we'll see you at tstindustries.com.